What is going on, WOLFPACK Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Tuffy Talk Live Show, baby. Really appreciate y'all tuning in, and Happy New Year. Hope everybody's having a great 2023 so far. Hopefully it started off with a bang for sure. I mean, I know obviously we're going to talk a lot here in terms of how the year ended, which is definitely a interesting note, but definitely some good news sprinkled in there for sure. So we'll definitely get to all of that here today. But first of all, obviously we already got Aaron and Nick here in the comments. Make sure, again, if you've been with us before, you know the drill. But just as a reminder, once again, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, whatever it may be, make sure to send those in the chat, and we will get to all of them. And also, too, as well, even if you don't have any comments right now, just say hey. And also, too, give us some New Year's resolutions you have as well, NC State related or in general. Maybe like myself, looking to cut 10 pounds or something like that. Whatever it is, we'll see if we can stick to it together. But with that being said, so jumping right into it here, so I think it would be best, obviously, to first of all not really go too much further without talking about the huge news that happened last night, which was definitely a shocker for sure during the Bengals and Bills game. Because I don't know about y'all, but it definitely seemed like to me it really did shake the entire sports community and even beyond that. It's crazy. Really how much it's how wide it's gone. And obviously, for those that don't know what I'm talking about DeMar Hamlin with the Buffalo Bills last night. Definitely a scary situation last night. As the update as of right now is that he is still in critical condition, but he went from 100% oxygen down to 50% oxygen. So he is getting better, but he's still recovering.
Around, right?
Sure. Say again.
What do you mean 100% to 50%?
No, I think what he's saying is he needed 100.
He needed 100% oxygen. He was 100% reliant on 100% oxygen. Yeah. So now he's down to 50. Yeah. So he's getting in the right direction. But we're either of y'all or any of y'all watching that game? Were any of y'all watching that live?
Yeah. We were. We just kind of had it on in the background. Didn't really realize what happened, and then all of a sudden they're stopping the game, and there's an ambulance on the field, and it was it was crazy.
Well, and again, just the fact, again, wanted to bring that up. Obviously, wanted to make it clear. I know that, myself on Twitter last night was very vocal about, the situation for sure, especially with my wife being a physical therapist as well. We were kind of talking through the possible scenarios, like what caused it, what happened, and and also too talking about the importance of CPR as well, and definitely cannot stress enough that. If you have not been trained already or don't know how to do CPR, it's not difficult to learn, and it's a skill that can save lives. So, cannot stress that enough here. That CPR can absolutely 100% save lives. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a couple of things for me. Obviously, prayers up. A fellow ACC guy, played at Pitt, just been in the league now for a couple of years. But the outpouring of support, like you said, even from people that really maybe don't follow the sport, but just what happened to his charity, I'm sure everyone's kind of maybe seen up to this point. He just had a local homegrown foundation, wanted to raise a couple $1,000s back during the holidays. I don't know what it was at before it exploded, but his goal was $5 million.
His goal was $2,500.
Right.
And now it's well over $4.3 million.
It's over $5
million. Holy smokes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Every time I was checking it last night, like every 5 minutes, it was going up by like 100,000.
Yeah, I know. I was just doing it too. It was like every 5 minutes, it was like 75.
Somebody else would repost it, and then I click on that link, and it was crazy.
The one that I saw that was really cool was Andy Dalton and his wife donated over $3,000 to it. And if everyone remembers, a couple of years ago, Andy Dalton's I don't remember who he was quarterbacking for at the time, but his team
that was the Bengals.
Was it the Bengals then? I couldn't remember. No, it was after the Bengals though. I thought he was playing for the Cowboys at the time or somebody.
But he helped the Bills get to their first playoffs.
Correct. And they raised almost $100,000 for his charity. And so just to kind of turn it around and, kind of pay it forward. So
that's amazing.
Hey, sometimes when bad happens, good prevails from it. So it's always great to see the human aspect of this.
Absolutely. And Rusty there asked the question too, does NC State keep AEDs on the sideline? Absolutely. No, there's all kinds of medical personnel all over the place. I know that we have the team trainers, but we also too have doctors as well that are usually medical licensed doctors that usually look like they're just in a polo and khakis on the sidelines, but in actuality they are a doctor. And then you also have to have an ambulance on and medical personnel on site as well. So there's plenty of medical personnel all over the place, and rightfully so. Because again, it's just crazy that again, to the knowledge, at least from last night, there's only been one other situation. Because basically, what I think the consensus is that happened is that basically, I don't know exactly the terminology how you say the name, but basically his heart beat right when T. Higgins made contact with his chest. And it's a phenomenon that has only happened, at least has been documented, maybe a couple dozen times. In sports,
I think you're talking about. It's called commotio cordis, is what they called it. Commotio cordis, and it's all. It was. Yeah. It's only if it's happened. If that's what it was.
Yeah, they're still
having happened like a couple hundred times since like the 90s. I saw one. Okay. Yeah, like 200 times since like the 90s. It's like that rare.
Yeah, and without speculating, because they haven't come out and said that's exactly what it is for sure. Yeah. But if that's what it is, it actually happened to Chris Pronger back in the day when he was playing in the NHL. Yeah, he got hit in the chest with a slap shot when he was playing for the St. Louis Blues. So
crazy phenomenon for sure. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump back into some NC State stuff for sure. Obviously, first piece of news got to talk about here is obviously Duke's Mayo Bowl. Obviously disappointing loss for sure to Maryland. I know Macon, Greg, and myself were there, and Michael was there in spirit, and Mackenzie was there even as well. So got 4/5 of us there. But again, y'all, I think for me, really coming out of that game, I think this is honestly one of the few times coming out of it where I had complete clarity what the problem was. Because, to me, defense played great. Defense played amazing. And then, kicking-wise, didn't really have any issues with – obviously, Chris Dunn didn't miss any field goals. No real issues with the punt side. So the only thing you really can look at is the offense. And to me, I didn't really have – was there a couple plays here and there I wish were called a little differently? Sure, but I didn't really have a huge issue with it. But – honestly, it just came down to offensive execution in my books, really. Just not really getting it done. And a lot of that might come down to as well. Obviously we were missing a lot of players, whether it was Grant Gibson wasn't playing, you didn't have Devin Carter, Trent Penix, obviously MJ Morris ended up not playing. But
was a big one.
Yeah, Zavala not playing was a big one for sure too. So, and we'll definitely get to talk about MJ Morris here, but I wanted to kind of, make sure. Are y'all on the same page as me in terms of, this is really cut and dry in terms of where the problem really lied in terms of why we lost that game?
Yeah, I was going to say as a joke, like, yeah, long snapper, that was the problem right now. It was just gonna pick some random position that obviously wasn't it. But no, for offense, it was just couldn't move the ball. You could compare it to Maryland; they could move the ball pretty effectively. The defense was, the first two drives for Maryland was huge. They came up with 0 points, and in the red zone, I think both times there. So. Just, not just another day in the office for the defense. But I don't know, because they never came out and said exactly. I don't think they did. The door come out and say exactly why they never played MJ Morris.
So they said it was due. They said it was due to player safety, and he was an emergency backup.
So actually, now I remember him. He did say at the post game that that he showed like he was becoming sore and having some issues as they got closer to game day, and they decided not to play him, which that's fine. That makes sense. Because I was thinking the whole game, I was like, I think it should be MJ over Ben Finley. And I could say one thing that I could definitely come out of that. I do not think MJ is a guy, partially. And I wonder if some of these, I say that, and then I think about, well, there's times where there's passes that he hit receivers in their hands and they're just not making the catches. But there's days where it's like, you're like in the red zone and you can't even hit a guy in like 5 yards on the hands sometimes. And it's not like it was an intentional throwaway. It's close enough. You're like, was that intentional or not intentional? I think it was intentional. And then I mentioned like the drive state when they get red zone. I didn't think about it, but I saw some people tweeting about it. Why were you going 3 passing plays on the 2-yard line? Like that's not the quarterback. That's not the receivers.
They had no faith in the offensive line.
Yeah. Well, and just again, I mean, running the ball wise, we just couldn't get to the second level. When we were run blocking,
27 yards.
Yeah, 27 yards rushing. So
you don't win that line of scrimmage, you're not winning a football game most days. So
I
tell you, I will say. Go ahead, Michael.
I was just gonna say, and I mean, Finley was just missing guys. Even I know we talked about you mentioned the 3 passes on the goal line. He had guys pretty open. I mean, I wouldn't say wide open because it's hard to be wide open on the goal line, but like decently open enough, and he just didn't throw it to him. Or the last one he just threw out of the back of the end zone where nobody could get it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
go back and look at the stats.
Finley was just not. He was just not on point.
Yeah,
missed a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
No, I was just saying he overthrew a lot. When he didn't overthrow, I think Leighton, you mentioned it. We had I can count at least 3 or 4 drops where it just guys turning up field, not concentrating. It just I don't know what it was. It was an ugly game on both sides. Weather really wasn't a factor. It was a little bit of misty rain, so you can't even really blame it on that. It was just, for a team that had a month off, this is what you came out with. It was a little disheartening for sure.
Well, and here's my thing too, y'all. So, because obviously without Devin Carter, to me, I felt like going into this game, you had to focus your attention. You had to get Thayer Thomas 12, 14 targets. You had to feed him to no end. Obviously, also too because it's his last game, but mostly because again, I just don't think that you gave me Darryl Jones. There's a revenge game factor, but just with the other guys, they're just not really that wide receiver one. I know that's kind of NFL fantasy football talk a little bit, but he's just not that. There's just not really a stud wide receiver otherwise on that field. So to me, I feel like that with the offense that obviously with Tim Beck, I don't think basically I'm saying that hopefully there was an offense.
Be blunt.
there was hopefully there's a scheme that can find ways like rub routes, some kind of crossing routes to get Thayer Thomas space and get him open for a possible shot from Ben Finley. But unfortunately, that's another thing which kind of talking about too with Tim Beck, because I know Rusty talks about the article by Joe Giglio talking about how Doran needs to adapt. And I think that's one thing which I'm hoping, at least from what we've seen from Anai, that he will be able to bring to us is a more creative offense, which is designed to get guys open. So
Doran said that in his post game, it's time for us to adapt and evolve, or something to that effect. He said that.
Yeah.
So he literally said the words he's saying there. He recognizes that. I was curious, did you guys find any bright spots in the offense? Because I feel like there was some. Like I'd say a guy that I was very happy to see how he played was Chris Tootle. Like,
that's exactly what I was about to say.
Where has he been all season?
Non-existent.
Yeah. I thought Michael Allen early on when he was playing looked decent, and then he got hurt. So
he got hurt, and they didn't even review that call for targeting, and I'm pretty sure he went out with that head injury.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's about it.
That's
it. That's really it.
I mean, it's really hard, right? It was really hard to find anything.
Yeah.
No, Trent Penix. I don't think was he playing? Did Trent Penix play at all?
No, he was out.
No, so Houston was not great because none of the running backs were great because we didn't have many rushing yards. Timmons, he kind of got dinged up on that one play.
He went out early. He had a concussion.
Lassane was kind of a non-factor. Even Thayer Thomas, I mean, he had nice plays. I guess he's a bright spot, but he was 4 of 9, which is not great. It's not bad, but Daryl Jones was 3 of 9. I mean, Keon Lassane was 2 for 6.
They really made it a focus to get Daryl Jones involved very early for that the revenge factor. And I mean, I think there was 4 or 5 plays, and then of course he popped that one up and they got the interception. I thought if Finley has a split more second, I think he gets Cedric. Seabro in the end zone. He's wide open on that play.
Yeah. It's Seabro. No.
Yeah. But I if he has a split second, he's open on that touchdown. I mean, it's not even close.
Well,
so it was just it was just a matter of not having time to throw the ball. I would say, if you have if MJ is healthy, he probably can cover up a little bit of the holes on the offensive line by being mobile and getting out of some of that stuff. Where Finley doesn't really give you much there. If anything, he's able to throw it away. And I thought Finley held on the ball a little bit too long on some of those plays as well.
Yeah, I think the line, at least pass blocking wise, they were pretty well. I mean, we threw almost 50 times and there wasn't a sack. There were a couple times, like you were saying, he was pressured, but that's going to happen when you throw 50 times.
Yeah. But again, too, I mean, I think so that's another positive to your point making. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely the pass protection was great. But again, too, I mean, we definitely already talked about the three throws on the first and goal from the 2-yard line. But also, too, I think that last drive, throwing up the go routes on the first play, it's like again, just that goes back to just it's not really a creative scheme. It just goes back to what Joe Gilly was saying. It's just go routes and drag routes. That's pretty much most of. Go ahead, Macon.
Yeah, another thing to consider here. It was Kurt Roper calling plays. Yeah. He used to be an OC. He's not normally the OC. He didn't do anything to make himself.
Years?
Yeah. So he didn't get any teaching jobs, from that performance. So no. From the Maryland game, I mean, he didn't get anybody to call him Kurt Roper. So
no.
So I'm going to be very curious to see how we change things up with Anai. So we'll see what happens.
Does that game make you anybody more or less concerned than they were going into 2023?
Does nothing for me.
Really. Less concerned. I will say this.
Couldn't be less concerned after that, but more concerned for the offense in 2023.
I think the offense, I am at receiver, I'm more concerned because you Carter's, you have Thayer Thomas. That's great. Beyond that, is there anybody that's like a clear cut? Is Thayer Thomas wide receiver 1? No,
he's gone.
Well, he's gone.
Is he gone? He's done.
Yeah, Thayer Thomas.
Okay, I forgot about that. I don't know why I forgot that. Okay, so then who's wide receiver 1? Is it Andy Smith? Is it Keon Lefsane? It
could be Collins? Who you're bringing in from Clemson?
I mean, that's my point. I do not feel comfortable with the receivers. I don't.
No.
I mean, it's like who is there on the roster right now? Timmons?
Yeah.
No, I don't feel comfortable.
It's a bunch of young kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, your elder statesman is Porter Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's 2-3 and hasn't done anything. So.
Well, and here's my thing too. I think honestly, there's definitely no doubt coming out of that game. You go, we need more wide receiver weapons. We need more weapons, period. But I mean, luckily enough, getting back Trent Penix is for next season is definitely, I think, a big get. But I think honestly, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about Brandon Armstrong here soon. But I think that's honestly what's going to happen in my head. The scenario that's going on in my head is that basically within the next days, week or two, something like that, Brandon Armstrong more than likely will come to stay. At least that's from all the reports. And then if he does come, that's a huge recruiting piece to the guys in the transfer portal being like, hey, listen, under an eye, that guy was playing like a first round draft pick. You can come here and get, ridiculous amount of opportunity here. So, but that's just. But even with MJ Morris, even too,
the pickings from the pool is getting smaller, though. I mean, let's be real. All of the big name guys have been gobbled up. Maybe it's a case where the quarterback makes the wide receivers better. We haven't maybe had that this season. We kind of maybe had hoped that with Leary, making the quarterback making the wide receivers better.
Yeah.
I there's no one that goes, yeah, that's the guy next year. Cause we've been spoiled at that position. We had Calvin Harmon and we had Mecca, we had, Devin Carter. We had somebody in the wings waiting, and no one has been that guy this year.
Yeah.
Only thing I'll say is going into 2021, did we think that Emezi was going to be as big as he was that year as the number one target? I don't really
we assumed it.
Talking about him that much.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I think it wasn't like, okay, we've got Emezi as our number one receiver. We're good for this year, right? So I think it's just an opportunity for somebody to step up and take it.
Yeah, but I think we had seen glimpses of it with Emezi a little bit, and I can't say I've seen it with Lassane. Maybe Lassane, maybe big fat, maybe, but it's like, I just don't. I want to go back to your point there, Greg. Or you said about the transfer portal. There is another window that the transfer portal open will be available in the
after spring bowl. Yep.
So guys may change their minds that are on rosters now that aren't able to later, but more than likely they're listing now, right? The pickings in the spring are still going to be slim because this is the big window to transfer. I just don't know. Is it? I know people said they would love to see a guy like Aronde Gadsden from Syracuse come follow Anai to state. That'd be great. Happen. I agree with you, Greg. I don't see a lot that's like, oh, I want to be. Now that guy Kemp from Virginia, he's transferred out of UVA. That might be a guy who state could look long and hard at. But I don't really know what his backstory looks like. Someone guy said Breon Pass was an excellent receiver. I don't think Breon's going to come play football, but
I think honestly too that it really comes down to that. I feel like from what Doran has done in the transfer portal up until this point, that you got to have faith into it of a sort, being like if there is a gap and if he really is nervous about something, he's going to go get that guy. I mean, he's definitely never been somebody to shy away from making the call, to hey, let's bring him in. We'll take the piece for sure. So
here's what I'm worried about, though. I will say this: the last wide receiver recruit we got was who? That I can remember.
Calvin
like
Harmon,
stars wise, or
Harmon stars or whatever. I think it's still Harmon, right? I mean, who's been a better
Jacoby?
prospect?
I mean,
he was a quarterback. So I'm
He was a
kind of like,
quarterback.
I know, but I understand.
So who is it? Is it like Harmon? Is it really Harmon? It was 5 years ago.
It has to be.
or Kevin Concepcion is not here yet, but
True. Concepcion could maybe he could step up and be a guy, but
maybe
I don't want to count on a rookie receiver doing that. So
I mean, let's there are guys that have experience, and who's to say that with more opportunity, someone we haven't even mentioned, Julian Gray. Julian Gray could be that guy.
But he's been the biggest head scratcher this season. Coming out,
I think that's play calling. I think it's play calling.
I think it's just
usage.
getting it on the field.
Usage.
And that's that's the point I was going to make is, with the new offensive guy coming in, a new philosophy, a guy that has shown in an eye that he can get the most out of his talent and just scheme to their strength. Look, I mean, we'll have a better idea here in about 4 months when we go to spring ball, when we have the annual spring game, and we'll have a better idea of, potentially what the roster is going to look like. You'll start to see your 1, 2 deep guys develop. I'm not giving up on it yet. Yeah,
it is
definitely something to think about.
But luckily enough, I think that's honestly, at least in my head right now, kind of thinking through everything, that's really the one position I think that really kind of stands out in my head. Like that, but offensive line. But I think is it 2J? 2J, right? 2J. Yeah, Coach 2J. I think that part of it too is going to be just give him some time to evaluate what he has, and then him and Doran will sit down. They'll decide what they want to do from there as well. So, but
there's
again,
a guy coming in tomorrow. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Logan Taylor from UVA is coming in for an official visit on the offensive line.
Oh yeah, lineman, 6'6". He was there. Yeah. I think last year, 2 years ago, he recorded the most snaps on UVA's team, or at least the offense, something like that. Experienced offensive lineman is the whole point there.
Yeah, and they bring in the transfer from Oregon as well. That'll be a big piece as well to replace Zavala, I think, too. So, again, just patience. Game just got done. They just got back from the holidays, so they'll evaluate and go from there. But I do want to get to a couple of these comments here before we jump on over to some tweets of the week. So first of all, let me see. Terry Suggs says, this is the year for turnaround. All NC State curses will be lifted. Trust the process. I like it. I'm curious what curses that you might be talking about there, Terry. But because hopefully we've Dorn said it. We defeated the Clemson one, right? So that one's behind us, right? So I guess the championship one is probably the biggest curse, probably that you're talking about. Which I would love to see that curse get broken. So definitely that there. And let's see. So Rusty talks about Dunn and what he meant to his team. We'll definitely talk about him here under the tweets of the week. No, don't miss that. Michelle says, well, the offense kept me from raising my arms above my shoulders after having surgery on December 28th. That was a plus for me personally. So hope your recovery is going well, Michelle. And sorry / I'm happy for you, I guess, that the offense didn't give you too much, but I'm more sorry than I am happy for you, if that's okay.
Can we put a bow on the bowl?
Yes,
you definitely brought it up, and I would agree. Just everyone share their thoughts on the bowl experience itself.
Awful.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
I would agree. They focused so much on dumping the mayonnaise on the coach that won the game, and there was no festivities, and we. Tuffy Talkie, Leighton had put out some funny tweets. I enjoyed the dumpster of experience of seeing Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember last time we were there, I think it was that 7 years ago? Was it 2015? Yeah. So yeah. I remember when it was Belk, like Carrie Underwood did a pregame concert out there. And they had the battle of the bands. They had stuff going on at the Epicenter. All kinds of events.
They had the Belk Bowl NASCAR out on display. You could take pictures with as well. There wasn't anything. There was absolutely nothing. And the halftime show was basically just the marching bands. There was nothing special there. Pre-game wise, there was no flyover. There was no crazy pre-game fireworks or anything like that. Like they literally just went all in on the Mayo. And the one thing which I thought was interesting, which I had mentioned at the time, was that when I had basically said, hey, listen, Duke's Mayo sucked. And because I honestly really do, I think every State fan should almost beg that bowl game to improve. Because why? Because if that bowl game can improve, it's right next door. It's a great bowl game for us because it's a home field advantage for us. You get to play. Now it was an SEC team, now it's a Big 12 team. So it's a great game. And so if the experience can improve, then it's a win-win for all NC State fans. And so when I put that out there, and somebody had commented saying, "Yeah, my experience was terrible," the Duke's Mayo Bowl liked it, which I was like, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, the Duke's Mayo Bowl Twitter page liked it. So I was like, interesting. Hopefully they got the message.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to say across, because I've been watching a lot of the bowl games, looking, in the stands, and not always the camera angles that they provide gives you an adequate attendance, if you will. I was watching that bowl game in Tampa yesterday against Illinois, Mississippi State. Horrendous attendance there. Now I will say the Gator Bowl had over 65,000 people, with Notre Dame and South Carolina.
That was a big game.
Right. And so I was thinking, is it matchup? Is it like what is causing these the horrible bowl attendance? And someone brought up on one of the tweets that I read, it's like, is the WOLFPACK club that's asking for money again for your seats in December, like how much did that play into it? Because if you've got 4 or 5 seats, you're putting down $500-$600 for your season tickets,
bowl tickets.
Yeah. I have a thought.
Yeah, go for it.
A few thoughts. So this is in no particular order. I think part of it, I think the TV experience is a little bit more convenient and comfortable. I think at times you can watch a game on your television screen with all the angles, all the replays. I can pause it, go use the restroom, and go get something to eat, and sit in my recliner in my PJs. And I spent no money, and that's hard to do. Now I will say I thought about to kind of counter that. Carter Finley this past season, I was at the game where our seats were on like the 40-ish yard line, homes looking in the field. And I thought, if the sound system was right and the screen was really good, which we're going to get improvements to both. The fireworks and all that were really good. The how they layer that from an atmosphere standpoint is really good. I could see this being like a wash, so to speak, and be more incentivizing to come to the game. Think about when State played at Clemson, right? That screen was huge. The music was awesome. Obviously, Clemson has culture, but that was a great production, right? I think State can kind of get there minus 25,000 seats less. I think they get there. I just think part of the traveling is added cost, but it was Charlotte. I did think Charlotte had a pretty nice turnout for the game. I thought, you didn't have the whole upper bowl.
They were half full.
Well,
35,000.
Well, and here's my thought too. That probably has to do with it too. But well, and again, Megan, because keep in mind that I got another thought too with it. But go ahead. Oh, okay. But because I honestly think that a lot of it has to do too is that there just really was no marketing leading up to this game as well, because Duke's Mayo had nothing to market. There was nothing going on. Besides the Mayo, they
were all in on dumping the head. That's all. That's all they had going for them.
So, but meaning like if NC State and Duke's Mayo, come out and be like, hey, like we have a battle of the bands going on at 7 p.m. The night before we have Blake Shelton, playing. We have, you could take pictures. There's games. You can win prizes. Then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, because again, you don't have to stay the night. That's the beautiful thing about that bowl game. Right. You didn't have to stay the night. You could just come the morning of. And so I think if that was there, then it'd be a lot more incentivizing for fans to come. But since you didn't have that, all NC State fans were thinking of was, I'm just going to pay all this money. I'm going to spend all this time just to watch NC State football play when, and not to necessarily, call down Ben Finley or anything like that, but just it's like you're going into that game going, man, this is going to be an interesting one. No Devin Carter, no Grant Gibson, Ben Finley and MJ was up in the air. Like this might be a weird one. So, another thought. Go ahead, Macon.
Well, hold on, Macon, before you take that. Yeah. All I'm going to say is, look, the bowl game is an experience for the players. It should be for the fans too, right?
Amen.
And for when the Duke's Mayo goes, enjoy the city of Charlotte. Charlotte's fine. Like
that's fine.
It is what it is. 2019 when we played in the Gator Bowl, we drove down to Jacksonville, and that was fun. Like they had a battle of the bands on the beach. There was activities. It made me look forward to the whole thing. I spent the last 2 weeks before the bowl game. Like, what are they going to put out? Zero.
Nothing.
So go ahead, Megan.
Hey, because the only thing too, the last thing I want to point out is that the only thing is people say, well, we did the football team send off at the hotel. That wasn't put together by the bowl. That was put together by the football team, basically. So the bowl game did nothing. Go ahead, Megan.
Well, my other thought is I wonder with players sitting out and the college football playoff being what it is and the prestige it is, the more excitement it gets. Does how much are bowl games decreasing in appeal, or how much they matter anymore? I mean, you're going to go to 12 teams now in the playoffs. You can I'm going to use an old country expression. You can bet your britches that it's going to expand beyond that in the next 10 years because money, right? They can make money. I mean, look at that Alabama bowl game they had. I can't remember bowl
Kansas State.
Alabama, Kansas State.
It was Sugar Bowl.
Kansas State. Okay. Yep. Does anybody really care about that bowl game?
I thought Alabama. I was going to.
Right. Yeah. It's Alabama. Like you would think it's Alabama football. Watch this game. It's like, I mean, even the USC Tulane game, exciting as the ending was, I remember thinking like they're going into the game and it's UC Alabama, it's UC Tulane, it's just another bowl game. I mean, that's what I'm kind of at. Like, it's just another bowl game. Like,
and I think I'll add one more point now that I'm thinking about it. And you kind of mentioned it, Leighton, but I'm going to go the opposite. People from North Carolina have been to Charlotte probably, a half dozen times, dozen times. They've been to Charlotte. There's nothing.
I've been to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And so maybe location was like, I'm not going to Charlotte. Like I can go there on a weekend.
Especially for that's the bowl we ended up in. Like it's nice, but everybody came into the season hoping for an ACC championship. Hope to play in a different game in Charlotte.
Yeah,
or the Orange Bowl, right? With the ACC tie-in.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And Michelle mentions it here as well, saying, as someone who drives from Asheville to attend all home and state games, which bravo to you, Michelle, that is a long drive. The least they could have done is have activities like a Carter-Finley pregame. Absolutely. Again, just bring the NASCAR over, have some games, some basketball shots, like have like a local band playing music. Like you don't even need Blake Shelton. Just have a local band play music and serve some drinks, serve some snacks. I don't know, something. Like we're not asking you to spend tens of thousands of dollars. Just do something.
What you could have done was put two local bands on each entrance, on the main entrances, and people would have congregated and just hung out, like you said, had a couple of drinks before they went in the game. Yep. We literally did a hotel gate in our hotel room, and like we made our own festivities.
It was sad.
I had like 15 people in my little hotel room just having some drinks and eating some breakfast, and that was more fun than what the bowl game did. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. So that being said, y'all, we're going to finally jump on over to some Tuffy's tweets of the week. So with that being said, here we go. All right. So our first tweet of the week, got to give a shout out here to, once again, our absolutely, I think, historic defense. I think that it goes without saying that this is definitely up there in the top 3 all-time best NC State defense in my opinion. I mean, it's definitely up there in that conversation. Not saying it 100% is, but it's definitely up there. I can't really imagine many defenses overall better than this one for sure. Again, only defense in the country to hold every single 2022 opponent to no more than 30 points in the game. Go ahead, Macon.
But look, you say every, and you're the only one defense. That should say enough in itself. If you kind of add a little bit of flavor to it, look at those names. Like who were the other options? Like I think it was Georgia and Michigan were the other two that going into the bowl game had this. Who could have had that, record with State, and no one did. I think you could argue this may be the best defense. I think it's arguable. I think. You're going to look at the record and see 8-5, but everybody's going to look back who remembers anything about this team and remember, it was offense, the reason we struggled. So we had to play 4 quarterbacks. I think you could argue that it's the best defense we've had.
Yeah. Only reason why I kind of am always hesitant because I know Greg, being the historian that he is, sometimes like, Mario Williams, all that, the
I get it.
years
I get
maybe,
it.
but no. Just it's just such an overall defense that starters was great, but even too, I think what really makes us great, the backups, the depth behind it. I mean,
didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, did not miss a beat the entire season, injuries aside. Like it was unbelievable, say the least. So
for me, the only thing that would have made this defense elite is if you got more sacks and turnovers. That was kind of the 2 areas that we kind of struggled on, and you're nitpicking at that point, right?
Right. Yeah.
But between the 20s, solid.
Yeah,
solid defense.
I that's one thing I still don't understand is why we're just not able to get as many turnovers as most of the other.
We did good. Fumbles really.
Fumbles,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interceptions.
We were like
interceptions.
Number 2 interceptions. Yeah.
Sorry, did I say turnovers? I meant fumbles. Yes.
Yeah.
I meant fumbles.
I said turnovers and I meant fumbles too. So that's on me.
To me, that comes back to, obviously, rushing the quarterback and that kind of thing. I feel like your pressure is coming off your linebackers in our scheme rather than defensive linemen. So,
and there's always luck involved in all that stuff too, right?
Fumbles is like the luckiest stat in football too.
Yeah.
True, I agree. So now moving on to some other big piece of news as well, the announcement of Peyton Wilson coming back, baby, for 2023.
Back again.
I'll tell you, y'all. I mean, definitely seeing that news, it made me think back to the Megan. Anyway, thinking back to before last preseason when Peyton Wilson was borderline coming back, and thinking like, it's crazy that we're getting 2 more seasons out of him than we had expected at the time. Which at the time, I think there was a great, definitely good. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a good case at the time thinking that maybe he'll go ahead and go pro because he's just so injury prone and just go and cash in any, as much money as he can get. But now here he is playing not only one more season, but 2 more seasons, from that time. It's just crazy to think about. But I think now, especially with Drake Thomas and Isaiah Moore being gone, I think Peyton Wilson's your spotlight, the linebacker spot. I think you have some great pieces around him, starting with Devon Betty, so I think – yeah, Jalen Scott. So I think you're going to still have a really good linebacking core that's going to be highlighted now by the one man who, hey, knock on wood, has mostly been able to stay healthy the whole season, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's crazy. Just one game, right? I think he missed the one game.
Yeah.
Syracuse, right?
Syracuse, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but I gotta, in here, let me find this tweet so I can kind of lead this into our next question as well. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, I lost it. But anyway, talking about the greatest linebacking cores in state history, because I know that going into this year that we were kind of comparing, I mean, the one that came to mind for me was the 2010 Nate Irving, Terrell Manning, and Audie Cole. And that to me is one of the all-time greats. I know you could also talk about like the Antonio Burnett and the 2000 linebacking core as well. Greg, do I have most of them so far in the?
Yeah, if you want to go back further, you got Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
I think wasn't Chuck the Chest a linebacker too, or was he a D?
He was.
I think he was a linebacker.
Robert Abraham too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about just like the trio, the
core,
three that played together.
Yeah.
So that's why to me it comes down to either. Say again.
No, I said Audie Cole, Terrell Manning, and Nate Irving.
Nate Irving. Yeah. So that's really what comes down to me. And I think just for me, God, I mean, if Peyton Wilson and Isaiah Moore and Drake Thomas are healthy, they're unbelievable. It's simple as that. They're fun to watch. They're fun to watch, and they were all that and then some against Maryland for sure. And they had a heck of a test keeping Tagovailoa, at bay. Which I mean, they tried their best for as much as they were on the field. That's for sure. So yeah, definitely got to give a shout out to all those guys. Definitely wish Drake Thomas and Isaiah Moore the best in the NFL, and hopefully definitely somebody takes a chance on them early because it's going to pay off for them for sure. All right, so moving on to our next one. So talking about Brennan Armstrong a little bit here. So I know last week we had the live show, which I know I was on with Ryan Williams talking about Brennan Armstrong a little bit here. So I want to kind of talk a little bit with you guys about it. And then for those that weren't with us last week, and for those who didn't hear it afterwards, talking about Brennan Armstrong here and the fact. So I think the reports were confirmed that he was on an official visit today. Am I correct on that, Michael?
Yeah, he was coming in tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Arriving today.
Today for a visit tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. So, it definitely comes to an interesting time because, I mean, from all the reports, they've definitely Armstrong's definitely been talking to NC State for a good bit of time. So, but what are y'all's thoughts on it? I mean, like really for me, it comes down to if there is a chance of MJ Morris getting scared away by bringing Brennan Armstrong in, Doran would not do it. I think that he's not that stupid that he would let MJ Morris, being, the talented freshman that he is, let him go for a guy he can have for 3 years for a guy that he's only going to have for 1 year. I don't think he's going to make a decision like that. But so that's why, to me, honestly, if Brennan Armstrong comes, to me, it's a great case scenario. If he doesn't come, then that just means that, okay, that means that MJ Morris is obviously confident enough in himself to perform next season. But it comes back to that. I feel like that going into next season, there's going to be a lot of pressure on MJ Morris, a ton of pressure, because it's, like if they don't bring in, a guy that necessarily is at that level, but a guy that's good enough to be a backup. Yeah, but maybe is not a Brennan Armstrong type guy. That's basically saying, all right, we're going all in on this sophomore quarterback that could 100% work out for us. Again, I am not doubting that whatsoever. I'm just saying he still is a very raw quarterback that is coming off of an injury, that's learning a new offense, a brand new offense, and also too is going into a really tough schedule next season as well. So a lot of pressure there. And just like we were saying as well, I mean, if they don't, figure out adding some more weapons, MJ is going to have to pressure himself to make those weapons that he has good enough. So that's really kind of where my head is that if MJ agrees to it, you have a guy, Brandon Armstrong, who can come and, if he does, just like he did at, Virginia, or even 75% as good as he did at Virginia. And, like he's going to be, one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the ACC, if he does 75% of what he did at Virginia, just because we're going to have the defense to help him out this time, so
you want 75% of 21, not this year. This year he wasn't very good.
Of course. No, of course.
So a couple of thoughts real quick. I'm not so sure that you get MJ's buy-in. Look, the adults have to run the team. So the coach thinks that, the best option is to bring in Brendan Armstrong. He's going to do what he's going to do. I do think, though, MJ is the kind of player, especially just, following him on Twitter, the things that he says all the right things, does all the right things. I think he definitely buys into what the team is trying to do. And I said this before, MJ had some nice games. And I'll say it, and I'll say it again. It was against the lower tier of the ACC defenses that he had success. He really didn't play the upper tier of Clemson. Even Syracuse's defense was pretty good.
He didn't play on the road.
And he didn't play on the road.
Yeah.
So do I think he's got potential? 1,000%. I think he can be an elite quarterback. But I just don't think you've seen enough to anoint him the next one. And then the other thing, too, is with the turnover at quarterback, especially with the transfer portal era, there's no guarantee, even if he plays, that he's going to be here the following year, right? Because look at all these starters that are leaving their programs. Devin Leary was the starter, Brendan Armstrong. I mean, we can go down the line of 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the ACC that were the starters that are now looking for new teams. Yep. So with all that being said, you go out and get the best talent you can and win now. It's not about building for the future. It's a year-to-year process at this point now with the way the portal is set up.
Well, and one point I want to make too, a quick one before I hand it over to Michael or Macon. Nick talks about there saying, in my opinion, I think you need to see what you have with MJ, since I think the upside could be better. I 100% agree that in the long term, the MJ has more upside potentially than Brandon Armstrong. But for next season, I mean, I think that you're definitely, man, that's a big statement in my opinion. If you say that the upside of MJ next season is more than what Brandon Armstrong could give you next season, that's what I'm saying.
And real quick, if you're winning, a winning culture will make people stay around a little bit longer than instead of bailing out and transferring. Because if you look at the number of portal players out there, I saw a tweet out there with the top teams with the portal people leaving. You saw Texas A&M, you saw Miami. Those are programs that did not win this year. So you can definitely say that some of that exodus is due to the performance on the field.
Yeah. No, I think it's a no-brainer. You take Armstrong if he wants to come. He knows the offense. Like you said, we haven't really seen enough from MJ, and now he's got to learn a new offense. Yeah. I mean, I won't repeat what Craig said, but we're on the same page there.
Yeah. State would be stupid not to take Brandon Armstrong, right? They have 2 quarterbacks on scholarship. They need a third. This guy knows the offense. Nobody else does. And between Ben Finley and MJ Morris. And I've seen, my argument with Devin Leary I've seen Devin Leary throw 35. I have not seen MJ do that. This guy, I mean, obviously he did even better. I mean, passing yards and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
he threw for almost 5,000 yards.
Yeah, he was unreal
in one season.
Yeah.
So he was like 47 or 4,800.
This is a no-brainer, guys. What's interesting? He's a lefty. Kind of that's unique.
I just saw that too. Yep.
Side note, look at the picture. Look how he's holding the football.
Really looks so weird to see a left-handed quarterback.
I don't think that's that. I can't be the technique he's taught, but that's hilarious to me. I just saw that. I was like,
no, I think I think that's like it's. I think it's just because he's lefty. It looks weird.
If you ever saw like Steve Young had a weird it looked weird because he was a lefty.
Well, my point is he wasn't even gripping the laces. He wasn't even touching the laces. I was getting that. He was laces completely open.
Yeah.
So
and obviously I know, again, I'm definitely no expert by any means, but definitely it's again, we're going down a rabbit hole with that, so we'll skip that part. But I hear you, Macon, for sure. I hear you.
And one last thing about him knowing the offense, he can help the other quarterbacks learn the offense a lot faster, right? Because now you're learning from one of your peers instead of a coach, and it's a lot easier environment.
Hey, maybe we can redshirt MJ, because I don't think he burned that red shirt. You could redshirt him.
He did burn it.
Did burn it?
He burned it. So you can redshirt him. That's
you get his red shirt back.
That's the thing. There is a lot of benefit for MJ. If again, like he can develop, he can grow some muscle.
What it takes is humility. You got to be really humble because you just got basically told you might be the guy. You already got celebrated around the fan base for a little bit of time, got that taste in your mouth, and now you're like, oh, I got to sit for a year behind this guy and still wait my turn, and then still might pick somebody else.
Well, but see, what I would tell MJ though is I would say exactly what we said so far, being like, listen, at the end of the day, if you had started the rest of the season, if you had played at Louisville, if you had played at UNC, if you had played against Maryland, then if you would have killed in those games, we would have said, yep, no, we don't need Brandon Armstrong. We're good with MJ. But unfortunately, we didn't see that. And unfortunately, we didn't see that. Unfortunately, you have been injured. Unfortunately, you're having to learn new offense, So at the end of the day, it's like, but again, also too, everything we've seen from him in terms of character, after the Wake Forest game, he's shown humility. So, so that's why I'm saying, listen, I will put you in Thunder's, class. I'll put you with them for another year. You'll gain, 20 pounds in muscle. You'll be ready to rock and roll once 2024 comes around. Go ahead.
I will say this. If Brandon Armstrong comes in and is not 2021 Brandon Armstrong, he's 2022, you're going to have a fan base fired up, ready for a quarterback change. So it could create a lot of controversy if it doesn't play out the way. And again, we're not saying that it's going to play out that way, but you just, you want to just play devil's advocate on this. And
sure.
If he even comes here.
But what's the odds?
If he even comes here, right?
Yeah.
He's not even here
again, what's the odds of that though? But again, what's the odds of that really? You give me 75%.
Yeah. Now that he's coming
75% of 2021, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah. And for anyone, our main competitors here are Auburn and I just lost
Oklahoma
State. Thank you, Oklahoma State. In fact, a week and a half ago, I thought that's where he was going. I was reading some stuff that all signs were pointed in that direction. So
well, but the fact that he visited and didn't commit, and now he's coming to State, I think that's a huge benefit.
That could have cooled
too. So
that's the thing. Like if somebody visits somewhere, they don't commit, and then they're taking another visit, like that's a usually pretty good sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, has he visited at Auburn
in
yet?
The transfer world a little bit.
No, I think Auburn's come on late because Grayson McCall, I think they were going after him, and he went back to Coastal Carolina, so now they're still looking for a QB.
Right, absolutely. So now, y'all, finally, once and for all, I think it was Nick or Rusty.
Everybody.
Talked about earlier. Everybody, but one of them had mentioned it. But yes, everybody for sure. I mean, I'm telling y'all, like I still can't help but think back to all the hate this guy got just over a year ago. Missing the kick against Clemson, and and thinking about now he is absolutely been nothing short of ungodly. I mean, he has been absolutely unreal. And again, this tweet we have right now, he is now the all-time field goal leader. Chris Dunn of State is now the NCAA all-time leader in career field goals made with 97 field goals.
It would have been cool if he got to 100 somehow. That would have just been really cool. But
So, but I think there's zero doubt you are honoring this guy's number. Like I know we don't really retire numbers really much anymore, but you are honoring 32. There's zero doubts about it.
That's his question. Is he the greatest college kicker ever? I asked that question.
No.
Is he the greatest kicker? Okay. I mean, I guess so.
I don't know.
ACC. So I can tell you here's an argument against that. Greatest ACC field goal percentage is Nick Skiba from last year at Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but he's on the pros right now.
Yeah.
I don't know across the country, but when you're talking about an NCAA record,
history is not that good to know.
So he's that. But there's another tweet, Layton. I don't know if are you planning on sharing the one that listed all the other?
That one was a good one.
Well,
that's partly why I'm saying.
Well, and go ahead again. I didn't want to put it up here just because it would be so small here.
I got it right here if you want it.
But the one thing with the one guy which I think of when I think of greatest college kicker, because he didn't turn out to be a great NFL kicker, is Roberto Aguayo. Yeah, because the Tampa Bay literally spent a 5th round pick on him. I'm like, okay, if a team spent a 5th round,
but see,
was
I
it
think
4th
it was
round?
Third round?
Third round?
I think we got a third. No worse than 4th, but I want to say 3rd.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. You spent a 3rd round pick. He had to have been freaking phenomenal. So, but anyway,
the thing
go ahead,
is, though, like, was he?
Yeah.
I'm looking here. Hold on. He was. That can't be right. Hold on a second.
Well, go ahead and start, Greg. Give me some of those accolades, man. Go.
I will say one of the greatest college kickers is another Florida State, Janikowski. Like he was a legend. But anyway, just some of his accolades here. NC State and ACC career scoring leader at 491. Most field goals, NC State ACC, the 97. 2022 most field goals in one season, NC State history, 28. 2018 second most at 23rd. 2019 third most at 21. 2018 most field goals by a freshman, 23. 2018 most points in one season, NC State history, 120. Now this is where you get to a little murky. Career average was only 84.3, which is 6 in NC State history, 6 in ACC history. So that's the argument against being the all-time greatest, right? Which is still a great percentage. You would take that in the pros all day.
Right. Oh yeah.
22 consistent All-American, Lou Groza in 2022, 19 semifinalist and 21 watch list. And look, there's a ton of them here. We can probably.
What's the thing? ACC champion, MVP.
I mean, right.
But he won the Lou Groza Award for the greatest kicker in the country. So it's like, why would you need an MVP? Sorry, I just looked it up, guys. Look, this is insane. I didn't realize this. Roberto Aguayo was drafted in the 2nd round.
I was even wrong. I thought
holy
it was
crap.
2nd round. That's why I was like, holy cow.
I thought it was third. So even I was wrong.
The 2016 NFL draft. I was like, holy cow. What were the Bucks thinking? Sorry, Greg.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a guy he ultimately choked. I mean, he just couldn't handle the pressure.
But of course, it's so. His second, he was the 59th pick.
That's crazy.
It was on the edge of the 3rd. I wasn't sure.
But still, that's crazy. That's insane. That's insane for sure. Yeah, but hey, Greg, you got Tom Brady, so that's
won a Super Bowl since then, so you're good. Right?
He won a Super Bowl, so hats off to that for sure. So I want to give a shout out to one more fun tweet here from David Staley saying UNC football now becomes the first team in NCAA history to win 9 games and lose 4 games in a row in the same season.
That's the kind of history I like UNC making right there. Great.
Absolutely.
I fully support it.
We can all support that here.
Absolutely. I am a fan of that stat 110%.
And the best part of it was that was all like the 9 wins and then 4 loss. Like, you know what I mean? Like they got
They were so close to a 10-win season, and it was like, nope.
It was a foregone conclusion. Like,
yeah.
I know. They're like, we could get 12 wins here or whatever. I was like, that's hilarious. That's so awesome to me. So
yeah. No.
Congrats, UNC.
But again, also to the way those losses were. I mean, obviously the Georgia Tech loss was bad. Our loss, we've talked about that one. The Clemson game and Oregon, I think, are very similar, where UNC kind of had momentum for most of the game, but then just Clemson and Oregon came out of nowhere. It was like, nope, and just took it over.
I would argue that the Clemson game was pretty much in control starting the second half. Clemson owned that, whereas Carolina did, like, they were in control of that Oregon game pretty much the whole time.
Hey, and then Russell Orwell puts it out here once a year. They didn't beat a ranked team this year either. So
they didn't play a ranked team until Clemson.
That's true. That's true. But also, too, I think for Oregon, it just took Bo Nix going, wait, so you're saying that, like, I take this football and I throw it to one of our guys? Okay. Oh, okay.
How bad was that field, though? How bad was that field?
Yeah.
It was scary.
Yeah, I did see the UNC equipment account that did like a video, and they walked up, and you can see the turf. Like that's really bad.
Yeah, thankfully no one got hurt in that game.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. So a couple more tweets to wrap this up here. So first and foremost, got to give a shout out here. Tomorrow night, NC State versus Duke. That is a must show up. I know there are only select tickets left. Actually, I know there's a lot of games. A lot of tickets have been sold, which is great. But again, y'all, we got to pack this thing out, man. I'm telling you. Again, everybody who said, PNC is not the right place for us, whatever. Tomorrow night, hopefully all those get put to rest, and hopefully we remind everybody, dude, PNC can be one of the most electric environments in college basketball if done properly. And I think tomorrow I'm expecting will be a fireworks show, because one thing that's just interesting too is that NC State is only an underdog by 3 points by Vegas right now, which to me, again, I've always learned if there is a line that makes no sense, it's because Vegas knows something. Vegas knows everything. So to me, it's like State's only an underdog by 3.
I mean, Duke has not been that impressive. I mean,
no, but we just
it's still Duke. I mean,
we just played terrible against Clemson. So I mean, it's
I think I saw if you look at the other teams' records that State's played against so far in the ACC, I don't think any of those teams have lost a game yet.
Yeah, they're 10-0. 10-0 in the ACC.
That's a great stat right there.
So
hit Miami and Clemson.
So just for reference, they may not be bad losses later in the season, kind of thing. It's just, I didn't think Duke looked great playing Wake Forest the other night.
Well, they lost.
They lost, but they didn't look like it. You know,
it wasn't a fluke.
Well, you could even watch. You're like, this is not like the same kind of Duke team. Like this year, at the very least, this year, this is not like the same Duke team. Heck, Carolina here. This does not look like a typical Carolina team. Like it's like this is why I think it's so pivotal and so important. State has to get the right guy in at coach. Like it has to happen. Like the door is open now.
You have to take advantage. You have to.
Time. Go, and I've heard people make this too. Like you want to go and get people want to go pour money into football. That's where all the money is. Pour money, but everybody's doing it, right?
Yeah,
I get you want to do that. State could arguably make a point. A lot of people have made the point they should be the football school. They are the football school. They should go on the football. I get you, but if you really put money in basketball, you could really turn things around real quick.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper. Football,
and quicker. Yeah.
You've seen 2 coaches doing football this year, being Willie Fritz at Tulane. Did you see that record flip?
That was incredible.
2-12 last year, and now 2-10, and then now they're 12-2,
11-2.
12-2.
And then
12-2. That's right. That's right.
12-2. So they basically flipped their record, and then Sonny Dykes at TCU was 19-30, I think, at Cal, and then in one season he's taken the TCU Horned Frogs to the national championship game.
Where was he last year? He was at La Tech last year, wasn't he?
Was that Cal?
No, he got fired from Cal in 2016.
I thought it was
at SMU.
SMU. Okay, well,
I know he was at Louisiana Tech for a minute too.
So
he was.
But basketball, you could really, if you just find the right guy, you could totally change things for State. And it's like I'm going to scratch like that's kind of my face. Like, God, do it. So I don't, and the way they're going with State this year, I don't see.
Leighton quoted me last week, and I will say it every time. It doesn't take much to turn it around in basketball. You need 3 to 4 studs and an okay bench, and you're competing. You're competing.
The thing, though, is there's less slimmer pickings in basketball at times, but it's like, but you see these guys at mid-majors just blow up.
You just got to
go football, so.
Yeah, you just got to go recruit 2 or 3 guys and then maybe pull 1 or 2 out of the portal.
And you're talking the state of North Carolina. Like football, it's like Florida and Texas. Like, okay, those are the biggest ones. I saw a tweet that said Florida in like the last decade or whatever has produced 122 5-star recruits. The next closest was Texas at 100. That everybody else had like 70 and 80. Like that's why you recruit Florida. When it comes to basketball, this is North Carolina. Like they're playing at Word of God in Raleigh. They're playing down in Charlotte. They're playing. I don't know. I just think that you're being stupid if don't figure this out. Now I'm ranting and I'm going to stop. But
you're not wrong. That's the thing. Like you're not wrong. Look, we're not convinced that Carolina got hot last year at the right time, made a run, but obviously their preseason rankings, probably were too high. That's obvious to tell. Duke in the same boat. The iron is hot now. You must strike.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So with that being said, one other tweet I want to get to, and then we want to get to some resolutions here that were submitted. Want to give a shout out to Jaquavian Smith, though. We talked a little bit last week, Ryan and I, but Big T has definitely stepped up this season and has definitely made himself more of a playmaker. He is getting guys involved as well as shooting as well. Now, I mean, I know obviously this is I know this kind of comes at a salty time a little bit too, because I know against Clemson, he definitely did not shoot that well against them. But, still, again, I think it's just, it happens, exactly. So, but again, no matter what, this guy has stepped up the season from last season. So.
Yeah, real quick. If the problem is if he's not carrying the team on his back, right, or he's not hitting his numbers, unfortunately, we just don't have anything coming off the bench. So, if it takes three guys in a game to win you a game. It just does. You have to have three guys that at least have, 15 to 20 points, and
See, I think you kind of have that this year. That's the argument. I think Casey Morsell is maybe the best shooter in the ACC right now from 3 points, and Burns has been winning. Burns has already won you 1 or 2 games by himself, right?
For
he
sure.
won you the
Vanderbilt
game.
For sure.
The Vanderbilt game was the one, and there's another one recently. He did he was really good.
Louisville, he was really good.
Might have been that game. So those 3 guys out there, if you can get Jack Clark, who's kind of he's either really on or he's really off, and
Joyner.
And I said that, and he's kind of on and off. I mean, guys, that should be enough, in my opinion. It's just where it's defense.
I was just going to say they're not doing it all together at the same games, right? Like one guy will have a really great game, the others won't, and then they just kind of do this number.
So I think State could really win this game, Duke. I don't think it's good. I don't think it would. Would it shock you guys if State won this game? I feel like
no.
It would surprise me a little bit, because it's
it wouldn't even surprise me.
We're losing games. I think it would for me. I'm we're still losing games, but
it wouldn't surprise me because again, you're a home court. You've seen how this team played against I don't know if great's the right word for Kansas, but a really good Kansas team on a neutral court.
Lost by 3,
you've shown, you've shown you can compete with some of the best teams in the country. You just have to put it together game in and game out and be consistent. And that's what this team has not been consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And absolutely.
The offense will be there. You got to slow down the other team.
Can you stop them in the paint? Can you get rebounds at key times?
Exactly.
It's now I'll go on my rant. Yeah, I'll just go on my Macon light rant. It's the same things we talk about every year with a Keats team. It's the same things. Those haven't changed. And it doesn't matter who we brought in. It's the same argument.
And honestly, for me, this stretch right here, the next few games here, is where it's going to make or break it for Keats.
Yep.
In my opinion,
you got to go 2 and 2 here. We're already down 1 to Clemson.
Right.
You got
5
Duke.
games. Yep.
You got Duke, Virginia Tech, and then Miami again. Is that right?
Notre Dame, I thought.
I don't know, but
still, even just those 2 alone, you got to go 500. You got to win one of those at least. So,
right, because if you're talking, because you need to get quad 1 wins, and there's only going to be so many of those in the ACC this year. So
Duke will be a quad 1. Virginia Tech, I think, is on the road, so that'll be a quad 1.
And Miami, if it's Miami, it's definitely quad 1.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. I was listening to the Pack Therapy podcast. Yeah. No. Anyway. No, the Pack Therapy podcast with Gillio and Scott Wood, and I can't remember if it was Scott Wood or Joe Gillio that said that you actually almost want UNC to figure it out so that way they can get to that level where it can be quad one, which I was like, I literally did kind of like the Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, where I was like, no. I can't wish UNC to do good. I just can't do it.
You do it selfishly. Yeah.
I'm like, no, I can't do it. So, but anyway, though, to kind of wrap this up here, so I wanted to give a shout out. So, yesterday, put out a tweet asking for our followers to give some of their 2023 New Year resolutions that are NC State related. And so I don't have them on a slideshow, but I just want to kind of list some of them out here directly. So the first one, got to give a shout out here to Mary Rouse, who just had their baby. So congratulations, Mary.
Did they actually have the baby already?
I think so. Oh no, not yet.
I was like,
sorry. Well, again, I mean,
congratulations, almost having a baby.
Well, it said take baby Whippy. So I was like, oh, they must have had it.
Okay.
No. But take baby Whippy to his first football game, women's basketball game, and wrestling match. Have to start him out young.
Good
so definitely love that. And then WOLFPACK Sam said baseball either wins regular season or ACC tournament. Yeah, I think that's definitely the team that has the best shot this in 2023 to once again get rid of that curse, that has been hanging over our heads for well over 30 years. Coach Dave Doran's burner account said, never chug Mayo during a game again. It wasn't good luck. Yeah, definitely thoughts out to those couple guys that were eating the Mayo straight up out of the jar. I'm like,
gross.
I appreciate their heart, but
yeah, that definitely takes some dedication right there. And then Matt Glover said to give away cold Dr. Pepper to passerby at our tailgate, not because I like the drink, but I feel like I should support the Fansville commercials that I love. Hey,
interesting.
Interesting.
Like
yeah,
I like
interesting. Yeah, it's still related a little bit there with the tailgate, so I get that. Brian McGree said, I hope to snag the remaining autographs I need to complete my 1989 NC State Collegiate Collection set. I started in 2000 and have collected 140.
Wow,
That's cool.
That's a really cool one.
Yeah. And then last two here, Chuck Coates says another AC championship in wrestling. No shocker there. And then Rusty Oral, who's I know here with us, saying for Elliott to get a ring. And I think that's that'd be a day. That would be a picture. Like, that's the thing in my head. Like getting like a picture of Elliott Avent, whenever he does get a ring, like the first time he slides the ring on his finger, looking at it, like that picture will go for millions. I'm just saying that'll go for a lot of money right there, because that'll be a big moment for sure in state history. And God, we were so close to it last year. We were one bad inning away from doing it last year. Yep. One bad inning. So, but it is what it is.
Just frustrating. Like, I'm tired of talking about, oh, so close here, so close there. Just do it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, so with that being said, again, first of all, thank you all so much for joining us here today again for the Tuffy Talk live show. Really appreciate y'all. I know the last couple of weeks, obviously last week we did the live show on Wednesday. Today we did on Tuesday because yesterday was a holiday, or considered a holiday because of the new year. But next week, as far as I know, we will get back into getting holidays. No more holidays necessarily anytime soon. So we'll get the show back on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Hopefully with some big news, hopefully with some big wins that we can celebrate here. But thank you all so much again for tuning in. Just as a reminder, if you haven't already, again, hit that subscribe button and hit this like button as well if you enjoyed the live show, so that way you can let us know that you enjoy this and want us to do more stuff like this here soon. And also to let us know as well if you have any other feedback as well. Again, we're always looking for feedback on different things to do, different things to try, whatever it may be. If you like things or if you don't like things, just let us know. All feedback is always appreciated. And also, if you haven't already as well, follow us at Tuffy Talk Down, Twitter, Instagram. We're only about a little bit over 600 followers away from 10,000, man, believe it or not. And the craziest part too is, and I'd have to go back, but I'm pretty sure our 2-year anniversary for the channel is coming up here in 2 weeks. So because I know it's in mid-January.
My 1-year anniversary with you guys is this week.
I think it's the 12th, Leighton. I'm not mistaken.
12th. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it's either the 12th or the 15th. That'd be, I don't think we'll get necessarily 600 followers in 9 days, but, that'd be nice, but, that'd be cool. So we'll definitely make sure to try to do something special for that celebration as well. So with that being said, thank you all so much again. Really do appreciate it. Everyone have a great rest of your week. And with that being said, we'll see y'all soon. But thank you all. Go Pack, baby.